Hi, and thank you for watching this Finance with Excel video. In this video, I'm going to teach you just a few very basic, very essential Excel tools that we will need to have in order to do most of what we want to do in Excel, and in order to make Excel the most useful tool for us. And the way I'm going to show these is I'm just going to build a simple times table. And this is going to illustrate a lot of the functionality of Excel. So what I'm going to do is I want the numbers on this column 1 through 10 or whatever, and the numbers on this column to be 1 through 10. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and now that I've got a 1 and a 2 selected, this Excel assumes that there's a pattern going on. And so what I can do is I can just highlight this, and if I start dragging down, we notice that right here it gives us a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we can do the same thing for the rows. 1, 2, and then we can just drag it over. Okay, now that's a very useful skill because it just teaches you how Excel does patterns, and you can just send formulas over. Next, I'm going to teach you the next thing I'm going to teach you is how to use Excel's shortcuts. So in our workbook, I want to highlight this whole area, the area that will be filled in with the numbers in just some color. Now, if I hit the Alt button, we notice up here that it gives us a whole bunch of different options for each of the ribbons. So I hit Alt, H, and then it gives us a whole bunch of more buttons, and then I want over here this fill button, and then I click H and it brings up all of the colors, and then I'll just fill this with gray. Now most of the time you don't actually have to click on anything. Like if I go Alt H and then I will go over here to this box B, and then I can just click any one of these numbers and it'll put a box around where I want it to put a box. One of the most useful ones that I have found when I'm grading students' assignments is Alt-RC. So if I hit Alt, and then you see on this, you hit R and it takes you to the Review tab, and you hit C and it puts a comment, I can just put there and then I can say your formula was wrong, or whatever I want to do. And that is just a very useful way for me to help, because I just, I want to leave a comment here, Alt-RC, and it's there. And it's a very useful thing. So now I'm going to show you actually how to do the times table. So we're going to use a formula. So we're going to go equals, and so in this cell right here we want 1 times 1, and in this cell we want 2 times 1, etc. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use anchoring. So we click on this cell, and we want this is basically what we want in this cell. But if we take this formula and if we try and drag it over and then drag it down, we end up not getting the right numbers. Because what happens is, right here, is as I drag the formula, it drags the cells that are in the formula with it. So you see right here, it was taking these two cells. But when I move one over, now it's taking this cell and this cell. Well, we don't want that. What we want is we want this. So when we say equals here, we want this to be able to drag with the row, but we don't want it to be able to move up and down. And so this we're going to row anchor, which means that it'll stick on the row, but it won't go up and down. So the shortcut on a PC for anchoring is you hit F4. And you notice once I hit F4, it put dollar signs in front of the row and the column. You say, well, what do you want to anchor this to? Well, we want to anchor this to the row because we do not want it to be moving up and down rows. Now, the row is this row 5. So if I hit F4 again, it gets rid of 1. If I hit F4 a third time, it puts it there. And then F4 a fourth time, it gets rid of all of them. So if I hit F4 twice, it anchors to the row. Now I can just equals over here, and now I hit F4 3 times, and it put a dollar sign right there. Now what I can do is I can drag this formula all the way over, and we see it did exactly what we wanted to do. And then the next thing that's really useful, the next Excel functionality that's useful, is if I highlight this entire row, because I want these formulas to come down. So one way I can do it is I can just drag them down, but another way I can do it is, since there's data right here, I can just double click right there and it will automatically send the numbers down. And this is because it says, I assume that since there's numbers right here, that you just want me to go down to the end of those numbers and it won't send it all the way to the bottom. So now we have a nice little times table, and every single cell is what we want it to be. It's anchored, and Anchoring is super duper useful in whenever you're doing formulas or whenever you're trying to make your workbook dynamic. Last thing I'll do is I'll go Alt H to take me home, and then B, and then I want an outside border, and then see, it just gave me an outside border around this whole thing. So that reviewed quite a few Excel skills. We reviewed pattern recognition and dragging down a formula with patterns. We reviewed anchoring. We reviewed dragging a formula, and we reviewed double-clicking a formula to bring it down. We also reviewed shortcuts, and virtually everything in Excel has a shortcut. And your students should get very good at these shortcuts, particularly if they're going into industry, because you just spend your whole time doing this. So thank you for watching this Excel video. I hope it gave you some useful skills.